You betrayed me! No! This is for your lies!
Stop, please!
He punched his best friend for daring to love his sister. But when he fell for a woman beneath his rank, he was forced to choose between his family's honor and the only woman who ever truly saw him. The Duke found them in the orangery, not because he was looking, because he returned early from a council meeting that had ended in silence and disagreement, and the house felt too quiet. His boots echoed down the marble corridor of Vauxhall Hall. The chandeliers were unlit. The servants had disappeared into their evening routines. Only the faint glow from the glass-walled orangery at the end of the west wing remained. He walked toward it without thought. Perhaps his sister was reading there. Perhaps the fire needed tending. He did not expect what he saw. Lucian stood too close to her, not touching, not speaking. Just standing in a way that made the air between them feel like something stolen. His sister's hand rested on the edge of a stone bench. Lucian's hovered above it, not yet taking, not yet claiming, but waiting. Then Lucian said her name. Softly, privately, the way a man says a name when he has said it before in darker rooms and quieter moments. Selena. The Duke stopped breathing. His sister turned. Her face did not carry guilt. It carried something worse, peace. As if she had been waiting for this moment, as if she had chosen it. Lucian saw him first. His body shifted, not defensively, protectively. He stepped slightly in front of Selena, blocking her from whatever storm was coming. That movement, the instinct to shield her, ignited something raw and ancient in the Duke's chest. He crossed the distance in 3 strides. No words. No warning. His fist connected with Lucian's jaw before thought could catch up to rage. The crack of bone on bone echoed through the glass walls. Lucian staggered back. Blood appeared at the corner of his mouth. He did not raise his hands to fight back. Selena screamed, not loudly. A sharp, broken sound that cut through the air like something shattering. The Duke grabbed Lucian by the collar and shoved him against the stone wall. His voice came out low and unrecognizable. You will never touch her again. Lucian's eyes stayed steady, even bleeding, even cornered. Matthias, do not say my name. The Duke's grip tightened. You told me everything, every woman, every conquest, every lie you fed them. And now you stand here in my house with my sister and expect me to believe this is different? Selena stepped forward. Her voice shook, but did not break. Matthias, stop! He did not look at her, could not look at her. If he saw her face right now, saw her defending him, something inside him would crack that could not be repaired. Leave, the Duke said. His voice was flat now, empty. Leave this house, leave this city. If I see you near her again, I will destroy you. Lucian wiped the blood from his mouth. His gaze shifted to Selena. Something passed between them. Silent. Final. Then he walked out. Selena stood frozen in the orangery. The light from the lanterns caught the tears on her face. She did not speak. She did not move. She simply looked at her brother as if seeing a stranger. The Duke turned and left her there. Alone. In the place where she had been happy 30 seconds ago. He walked to his study, closed the door, poured brandy he did not drink, and stared at his hands, still shaking, wondering when control had become so fragile. If you're ready for more stories where the forgotten rise, where loyalty is tested, and where love defies every rule, hit that subscribe button now. You don't want to miss what happens next. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? And here's the real question. Should the Duke have trusted his instincts about Lucian? Or was he wrong all along? Your thoughts are always welcome here at Power and Silence Whispers. Don't forget to like, share, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment of the tension, the heartbreak, and the choices that change everything. Welcome to the family. Now, let's see what happens when Lucian returns. The Duke had grown up too early. His father died when Matthias was 14. Not slowly. Not with time to prepare. One morning, the Duke was a man who commanded rooms. By evening, he was cold on the floor of his study with a letter still unfinished on his desk. Matthias's mother became someone else that night. The Duchess, Lady Seraphine, locked herself in her chambers for 3 days. When she emerged, her face had changed. Not older, harder. As if grief had burned through everything soft and left only steel. She raised her children with precision. Matthias inherited the title at 14 but did not inherit control. His mother controlled everything, the estate, the staff, the decisions. She told him it was temporary, that she was protecting him until he was ready. But ready never came. By the time Matthias turned 25, his mother still signed the ledgers, still approved the marriages proposed by neighboring families, still decided which invitations to accept and which to decline. Matthias did not fight her. Not because he was weak, because he understood what she had done. She had held the duchy together when it should have collapsed. She had kept creditors at bay. She had kept their name from becoming a cautionary tale whispered in ballrooms. He owed her everything. His sister, Selena, was different, younger by 6 years. Sheltered in a way Matthias never was. Their mother guarded her like something fragile in a world designed to break delicate things. Selena learned to move through that protection like water through stone. Quietly, gradually. She did not rebel. She adapted. She became the daughter their mother wanted in public, and someone else entirely in private. Matthias saw it. The way she smiled at dinners and said nothing of substance. The way she read books their mother would never approve of and hid them under her mattress. The way she asked questions that had no safe answers. He loved her for it, and feared for her. Because the world their mother had built did not allow for women who asked questions. Lucian had been part of their household once, not by blood, by proximity. His family's estate bordered theirs. His father, the old Viscount, had been Matthias's father's closest friend. As boys, Matthias and Lucian were inseparable. They rode together, hunted together, got into trouble together and lied about it with matching grins. Then Lucian's mother died. His father remarried within the year, a woman named Constance. Beautiful, charming in public, cold in private. She brought her own son, a boy 5 years younger than Lucian, and immediately began reshaping the household around him. Lucian was 15 when the accusations started. Small things at first. Missing coins, broken heirlooms, horses left unsaddled. His stepmother whispered to his father after every incident, gently, carefully, planting doubt like seeds in fertile soil. His father began to look at Lucian differently, not with anger, with suspicion, which was worse. By 16, Lucian had stopped defending himself. What was the point? His father had already decided who to believe. One night, after another fight, another accusation, another closed door, Lucian packed a bag and left. No goodbye, no note. He went to his mother's sister, who had married a man in the north and lived far from the duchy, far from the whispers, far from the house that had stopped feeling like home. Matthias did not see him again for 15 years. The letter arrived on a Tuesday. Matthias sat in his study reviewing estate reports when his steward brought it in. The seal was unfamiliar. The handwriting was not. The Viscount is dead. His son has been summoned to claim the title. Matthias read it twice, then set it down and stared at the fire. Lucian was coming back. Lucian arrived 3 weeks later. Matthias stood on the steps of Vauxhall Hall and watched the carriage roll up the gravel drive. 15 years. 15 years of silence. Of distance. Of wondering if Lucian was alive or if the world had swallowed him whole. The carriage door opened. Lucian stepped out. He was taller, broader. His face had lost the softness of youth and gained the sharpness of a man who had learned not to trust easily. His clothes were expensive but worn in a way that suggested travel. Long travel, the kind that leaves dust in the seams and stories in the posture. Their eyes met. For a moment, neither moved. Then Lucian smiled. Not the boy's grin Matthias remembered. Something quieter, more careful. Matthias. The Duke descended the steps, extended his hand. Lucian took it. The handshake was firm, longer than necessary, as if both men were testing whether the other was real. "Welcome home," Matthias said. Lucian glanced at the house behind him. "I'm not sure this was ever home." "Then let's make it one." They fell back into rhythm faster than Matthias expected. Late-night drinks in the study, hunting trips at dawn, conversations that stretched past midnight and left the brandy bottles empty. Lucian had changed. But not in the ways Matthias feared. He was sharper now, more deliberate. He spoke less and listened more. When he did speak, his words carried weight. He told Matthias about the 15 years, the North, the work he did for his aunt's husband, the women. He did not hide that part, did not soften it. "I was reckless," Lucian said one night, staring into his glass. "I didn't care who I hurt, didn't care what I left behind. I thought if I kept moving, I wouldn't have to feel anything." Matthias refilled his glass. "Did it work?" Lucian laughed. A dry, humorless sound. "No." Matthias filed that away. The honesty, the self-awareness. It mattered. But so did the other thing, the thing Lucian said casually, almost proudly. "I had mistresses in every city. Some lasted months, most lasted weeks. I promised nothing, gave nothing, took what I wanted and left." Matthias nodded, said nothing. But inside, a quiet alarm began to ring. Selena met Lucian at dinner the following week. Their mother had insisted. "He is a viscount now. It would be improper not to invite him to dine with the family." Selena descended the staircase in a pale green gown. Her hair was pinned simply. No jewelry, except the pearls their mother insisted upon. She looked like every other well-bred young woman Matthias had ever seen. Until she smiled at Lucian. Then she looked like someone else entirely. Lucian stood when she entered, bowed, said the appropriate things, but his eyes stayed on her a second too long. Matthias noticed. Dinner was polite, unremarkable. Their mother dominated the conversation with questions about Lucian's plans for his estate. Lucian answered with careful diplomacy. Selena said almost nothing, but twice, Matthias counted, she laughed at something Lucian said. A real laugh, not the performative sound she used at balls. After dinner, Lucian and Matthias retired to the study. Selena went upstairs. Their mother went to her chambers. Matthias poured brandy, handed a glass to Lucian. "She's grown up," Lucian said. Matthias's hand tightened on his glass. "Yes. She's intelligent. I didn't expect that." "Why wouldn't you?" Lucian looked at him. "Because most women in our world are taught not to be." Matthias set his glass down. "Stay away from her." Lucian's expression did not change. "I didn't mean, I know what you meant. Stay away from her anyway." Lucian nodded slowly. "Understood." But Matthias saw the way Lucian's jaw tightened, the way his gaze flickered toward the door. And Matthias knew, even then, that this would not end well. They did not plan to fall in love. Selena told herself that every morning. Every time she woke thinking of Lucian's voice, every time she found herself near the library at the exact hour he usually arrived to borrow books. It was coincidence. Nothing more. Except it wasn't. Lucian knew the first time they spoke alone. Really spoke. Not at dinner with their mother watching. Not in the drawing room with Matthias present. In the garden. Late afternoon. Selena had been reading under the oak tree. Lucian had been walking the grounds, learning the estate he would soon have to manage next door. They saw each other at the same moment. Selena closed her book. Stood. Prepared to leave. "Don't," Lucian said. She stopped. "I'm not going to tell you to stay," he continued, "but don't leave because of me." Selena looked at him for a long moment, then sat back down. Lucian sat on the bench across from her, far enough to be proper, close enough to hear her breathe. "What are you reading?" he asked. She showed him the cover, a philosophy text. Locke. Lucian raised an eyebrow. "Your mother approves of this?" Selena's lips curved. "My mother doesn't know." "Dangerous." "Yes." They talked until the sun dropped below the trees. About books, about ideas, about the suffocating weight of propriety and the quiet rebellion of thinking for oneself. When Selena finally stood to leave, Lucian stood with her. "Can I see you again?" he asked. Selena hesitated. "My brother." "I know. He won't allow it." "I know that too." Selena looked at him. Really looked. At the man who had returned after 15 years, who had been reckless and broken and careless, who was looking at her now like she was the first solid thing he had touched in a decade. "Tomorrow," she said. "Same time." Lucian nodded. And so it began. They met in stolen hours, in the garden, in the library when the house was empty, in the stables before dawn. They did not touch. Not at first. Touching would make it real, would make it something they could not take back. But they talked. About everything. About nothing. About the lives they wanted and the lives they were expected to live. "I don't want to marry someone my mother chooses," Selena said one morning, sitting on a hay bale in the stables. "I don't want to be a decoration in someone else's house." Lucian leaned against the stable door. "Then don't. It's not that simple." "It is. You just have to be willing to lose everything." Selena looked at him. "Have you?" "Yes." "Was it worth it?" Lucian was quiet for a long time. "Ask me again in a year." The first time he kissed her, it was raining. They had been walking the garden path, arguing, playfully, about whether Rousseau or Hobbes had the more accurate view of human nature. The sky opened without warning. Cold, heavy drops that soaked through fabric in seconds. Selena laughed, tilted her face to the sky, let the rain run down her cheeks. Lucien stopped walking. She turned, saw the way he was looking at her. "Lucien." He kissed her. Gentle at first, then deeper. As if he had been holding back for months and the dam had finally broken. When they pulled apart, Selena's hands were shaking. "We can't," she whispered. "I know." "Matthias will." "I know." "Then why?" "Because I love you." Lucian's voice was steady, certain. "I have loved you since the moment you sat under that tree and showed me a banned book. And I don't care if it costs me everything." Selena closed her eyes. "It will." "Then let it." They were careful. So careful. But love makes people reckless. And Matthias was watching. Matthias saw them by accident. He had returned early from London. A meeting with the solicitors had finished ahead of schedule. He rode back to Vauxhall Hall just before sunset, the sky turning amber and violet above the tree line. The house was quiet when he entered. Too quiet. He walked through the main hall, past the drawing room, toward his study. Then he heard it. Laughter. Soft. Unrestrained. His sister's laugh. He stopped. The sound came from the west corridor. The orangery. Matthias walked toward it, slowly, each step deliberate. He told himself there would be a simple explanation. Selena was reading, or arranging flowers, or... He reached the doorway and saw them. Lucian stood too close. His hand rested on the small of Selena's back. Not casually, possessively. Selena's head was tilted up, her eyes bright, her smile unguarded. Lucian said something Matthias could not hear. Selena laughed again. Then Lucian leaned down. Matthias moved without thinking. He crossed the orangery in 4 strides, grabbed Lucian by the shoulder, spun him around. Lucian's eyes widened. "Matthias!" Matthias's fist connected with his jaw. The sound cracked through the glass room like a gunshot. Lucian staggered back, hit the stone wall. Blood appeared at the corner of his mouth. Selena screamed. Matthias grabbed Lucian's collar, shoved him harder against the wall. His voice came out low and lethal. "You told me everything. Every woman you used. Every promise you broke. And now you think you can touch her?" Lucian did not fight back, did not raise his hands. He just looked at Matthias with something like sorrow. "It's not like that," Lucian said quietly. Then what is it like? Matthias's grip tightened. Tell me, what lie are you feeding her that's different from all the others? I love her. The words hung in the air. Matthias's hand trembled. You don't know what love is? I didn't. Lucian's gaze shifted to Selena. Until her. Matthias shoved him again. Released him. Stepped back. His chest heaved. His hands shook. Leave, Matthias said. Leave this house. Leave this city. If I see you near her again, I will destroy everything you've built. Lucian wiped the blood from his mouth. He looked at Selena one last time. Something passed between them. Silent. Unspoken. Then he walked out. Selena stood frozen. Tears ran down her face. She did not try to stop them. Matthias, don't. His voice broke. Don't defend him. Don't tell me I don't understand. I understand perfectly. You don't. Her voice was steady despite the tears. You think he's using me, but he's not. How do you know? Because I know him. You know who he wants you to think he is. That's different. Selena wiped her eyes. And what about you, Matthias? Do you know who you are? Or are you still being the man Mother built? Matthias flinched. Selena walked past him. Out of the orangery, down the corridor. Her footsteps echoed until they faded into silence. Matthias stood alone in the empty room and realized he had just broken his sister's heart to protect it. Selena did not speak to Matthias for 3 days. She did not come to breakfast, did not join dinners, sent word through the housekeeper that she was unwell. Matthias stood outside her door twice, raised his hand to knock, let it fall. What would he say? Their mother noticed. What happened? The Duchess asked on the 4th morning. Matthias looked up from his untouched breakfast. Nothing. Liar. She set down her tea. Your sister locks herself away. You look like you haven't slept in days. And Lucian has not been seen at the house since Tuesday. What happened? Matthias met his mother's eyes. Lucian was courting Selena. I ended it. The Duchess went very still. Courting? Yes. And you ended it. Yes. Why? Matthias stared at her. You know why. I know you think you know why. The Duchess folded her hands. But I want to hear you say it. Matthias pushed back from the table. Stood. Because he's not worthy of her. Because he's reckless and selfish and has spent 15 years proving he cannot be trusted with anything that matters. And yet, the Duchess said quietly, he is a Viscount, from a respected family, wealthy, well-connected. By every measure society values, he is an excellent match. Society doesn't know him. And you do? Better than anyone. The Duchess stood, walked to the window, looked out at the grounds. When your father died, I had to make choices. Hard choices. I could not afford to be sentimental. I could not afford to trust my heart. She turned. I chose control, safety. I built walls around this family because I was terrified of losing anyone else. And you, Matthias, you learned from me. You learned that love is a weakness, that protection means distance. Matthias said nothing. But Selena did not learn that lesson. The Duchess's voice softened. She learned to see through walls, to find love despite them. And if Lucian loves her, truly loves her, then perhaps the question is not whether he is worthy of her. Then what is the question? Whether you are strong enough to let her choose for herself. Selena went to Lucian. Not immediately. She waited until nightfall, until the house was asleep, until Matthias would not see her leave. She rode to Lucian's estate, a quarter-mile through dark woods, her heart pounding the entire way. Lucian's steward answered the door, startled. Lady Selena, I need to see him. The steward hesitated, then stepped aside. Selena found Lucian in his study. He stood when he saw her. His jaw was bruised, purple and swollen where Matthias's fist had landed. You shouldn't be here, Lucian said. I know. If Matthias finds out, I don't care. Lucian crossed the room, stopped in front of her, did not touch her. Selena, I love you, she said, simply, clearly. I don't care what my brother thinks. I don't care what society thinks. I love you. And if you love me, then we find a way. Lucian's hands shook. He reached for her, stopped himself. I do love you, but I won't let you destroy your relationship with your brother for me. Then what do? We wait. For what? For him to see. Lucian's voice was steady, certain. I will prove to him that I am not the man he thinks I am. I will prove that I can be trusted, that I can be worthy. You already are. Not to him. Lucian took her hands. But I will be. The storm came 2 weeks later. A late autumn squall that turned the roads to mud and the sky to iron. Selena caught a chill. It started small. A cough. A fever. The housekeeper put her to bed with tea and blankets. By the second day, she could not stand. The Duchess sent for the physician. He came, examined her, prescribed rest and willow bark tea. By the third day, the fever spiked. Matthias sat at her bedside, held her hand, watched her breathe in shallow, labored gasps. Send for Lucian, Selena whispered. No. Matthias, I said no. She closed her eyes. Please. Matthias looked at his sister, pale, fragile, breaking, and realized he had been wrong about everything. Matthias sent the rider at midnight. Lucian arrived before dawn. He rode through the storm, through mud and rain and wind that nearly knocked him from his horse. When he reached Vauxhall Hall, he was soaked, shivering, wild-eyed. Matthias met him at the door. They stared at each other. She asked for you, Matthias said. Lucian's breath caught. Is she alive? Barely. Lucian moved toward the stairs. Matthias caught his arm. Wait. Lucian stopped, turned. If you hurt her, Matthias said quietly, I will kill you. Lucian met his eyes. If I hurt her, I'll let you. Matthias released him. Lucian climbed the stairs 2 at a time. He sat at Selena's bedside for 3 days, did not sleep, did not eat, just sat, held her hand, spoke to her in low, steady tones when she stirred. The Duchess brought him tea. He did not drink it. Matthias stood in the doorway and watched. Watched the way Lucian's thumb traced circles on Selena's palm. The way he flinched every time she coughed. The way he whispered promises into her hair when he thought no one was listening. I will not leave you. I will be better. You are the only thing that has ever mattered. On the 4th day, the fever broke. Selena opened her eyes. Lucian was there. She smiled. You came. I never left. Matthias found Lucian in the hall that evening. Lucian stood by the window, staring out at nothing, exhausted. Thank you, Matthias said. Lucian turned. For what? For proving me wrong. Lucian's throat worked. He nodded. Matthias extended his hand. Court her properly, with my blessing. Lucian stared at the offered hand, then took it. I will not fail her, Lucian said. I know. The wedding preparations began 6 weeks later. Selena was radiant. Lucian was steady. The household buzzed with energy Matthias had not felt since before his father died. Even their mother seemed lighter. One morning, Selena appeared at Matthias's study door. I need your help, she said. Matthias looked up from his ledgers. With what? My wedding dress. I need to visit the seamstress, and I want you to come with me. Matthias frowned. Why me? Because you never come with me anywhere, and I want you there. Matthias sighed. But he went. The seamstress's shop was in the heart of the city, a narrow building tucked between a bookshop and a jeweler. The sign above the door read simply, Roselle. Selena pushed open the door. A bell chimed. The interior was warm, smelled of fabric and lavender. Bolts of silk and velvet lined the walls. A large work table dominated the center of the room. And standing behind it, Matthias forgot how to breathe. She was perhaps 25. Dark hair pinned loosely at the nape of her neck. A simple dress. No jewelry. But her face. Intelligent. Striking. The kind of beauty that lived in bone structure and sharp eyes rather than softness. She looked up when they entered. Her gaze landed on Matthias, and something shifted in the air. "Lady Selena," the woman said. Her voice carried an accent. "French? Maybe Italian." "Welcome," Selena smiled. "Roselle, this is my brother, the Duke of Vauxhall." Roselle's eyes flicked to Matthias. "Your Grace." She did not curtsy with her eyes down. She met his gaze directly. Matthias's pulse quickened. "It's a pleasure," he said. Roselle's lips curved. "Just slightly." "Is it?" Selena tried on dresses for an hour. Matthias sat in a chair by the window and watched Roselle. The way she moved, precise, efficient. The way she spoke to Selena. No deference, no flattery, just honesty. "This one makes you look like a cake," Roselle said, gesturing to a gown with too many layers. Selena laughed. "Then we skip it." Roselle pulled another from the rack. "This one." Selena tried it on, turned. It was perfect. Roselle adjusted the hem, pinned the waist, stepped back. "Yes," she said simply. Selena beamed. When they finished, Matthias stood to leave, then realized he had left his gloves on the chair. He paused, looked at them, left them there. He returned that evening, knocked on the shop door just as the sun was setting. Roselle answered, surprised. "Your Grace." "I left my gloves," Matthias said. She raised an eyebrow. "Did you?" "Yes." "How careless." "Very." Roselle stepped aside. "Let him in." She retrieved the gloves, handed them to him. Matthias took them, did not leave. "Thank you," he said. "You're welcome." Silence. Then, "May I ask you something?" Matthias said. "You may ask." "Why do you speak to nobility the way you speak to anyone else?" Roselle tilted her head. "Should I speak to you differently?" "Most people do." "I am not most people." Matthias smiled. "No, you're not." They talked until midnight. Not about dresses, not about society, about ideas. About the world outside the duchy. About the books she read and the places she had lived. Roselle had been born in Lyon, moved to London at 16 when her father's tailoring business failed. Learned the trade from her mother, built her own shop through skill and stubbornness. "I do not bow," she said simply. "Not to men who think a title makes them superior. Not to women who think wealth makes them worthy. I bow to character. Nothing else." Matthias stared at her. "You would not survive 5 minutes in my world." Roselle's eyes glinted. "Your world would not survive 5 minutes of honesty." When Matthias finally left, the streets were empty. He walked slowly, turning over the conversation in his mind. He had met duchesses, countesses, women trained from birth to charm and manipulate and say nothing of substance. Roselle was none of those things. She was sharp, real. Unimpressed by him in a way that made him want to impress her. And that terrified him, because he knew what his mother would say, what society would say, what it would cost to choose her. But as he walked back to Vauxhall Hall, one thought echoed louder than all the others. "I don't care." Matthias began visiting the shop. Not often, once a week. Always in the evening, always with an excuse. "I need a new waistcoat." "I wanted to check on my sister's dress." "I was passing by." Roselle saw through every lie, but she let him stay. They talked. About everything, about nothing, about the trap of expectation and the weight of names that meant nothing and everything. "You are not free," Roselle said one night. "No one is," Matthias replied. "I am." "Are you?" Roselle smiled. Sad, knowing. "More than you," Matthias told Lucien first. They were hunting, riding through the woods on a cold November morning. "I met someone," Matthias said. Lucien glanced at him. "Who?" "A seamstress, French, brilliant, completely unsuitable." Lucien reined in his horse. "You're in love with her?" "Yes." Does she know? I think so. Lucian was quiet for a long moment. Then, tell your mother. Matthias laughed bitterly. She will never accept it. Then you have to decide, Lucian said quietly, whether you want her approval or your own happiness. Matthias looked at him. How did you do it? Do what? Choose Selena over everything else. Lucian's gaze was steady. Because losing her would have been worse than losing everything else. Matthias told his mother that night. She did not shout, did not rage. She simply looked at him with cold, quiet disappointment. A seamstress, the Duchess said. Yes. A woman who hears the secrets of every noblewoman who walks through her door. A woman with no training, no family, no connections. Yes. And you think, the Duchess continued, her voice like ice, that this is acceptable? I think it is my choice, the Duchess stood. Your choice affects this entire family. Your choice determines whether we maintain our standing or become a laughingstock. Then let them laugh. The Duchess's expression hardened. I held this house together when your father died. I sacrificed everything to protect you. And this is how you repay me? Matthias's voice broke. I am not trying to hurt you, but you are. Then I'm sorry. Matthias met her eyes. But I will not choose duty over love, not this time. The Duchess turned away. Then you choose alone. Selena found Matthias in his study an hour later. He sat in the dark, staring at nothing. I heard, Selena said softly. Matthias did not look at her. She will never forgive me. She will, Selena sat beside him, because she loves you, and love always finds a way. You sound like Lucian, Selena smiled. Good. The announcement came at Selena and Lucian's wedding. The ceremony was beautiful, the cathedral filled with flowers and music and light. Selena wore Roselle's dress, radiant. Lucian stood at the altar, steady, certain. Matthias watched them exchange vows and felt something shift inside him. This was what love looked like. This was what it meant to choose. At the wedding breakfast, Matthias stood. The room quieted. I have an announcement, he said. His mother's eyes snapped to him. Warning. He ignored her. I am engaged to be married. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Her name is Roselle Marchand. She is a seamstress. She is French. And she is the most extraordinary woman I have ever known. Silence. Then the Duchess stood and walked out. Matthias found his mother in the garden. She stood beneath the oak tree, staring at nothing. You humiliated me, she said without turning. I told the truth. The truth does not matter when it destroys us. Matthias stepped closer. It will not destroy us. You do not know that. Neither do you. The Duchess turned. Her eyes were red. I have given everything to this family. Everything. And you throw it away for a woman you barely know. I know her better than I have known anyone. That is not enough. It is for me. The Duchess looked at him for a long moment, then turned away. I will not attend your wedding, she said. I will not welcome her into this house, and I will not pretend to support a decision that will ruin us. Matthias's throat tightened. Then I will miss you, but I will not change my mind. He walked away and left his mother standing alone beneath the tree. The wedding preparations began. Roselle moved through them with quiet grace. She did not complain, did not demand, simply existed with a calm Matthias had never seen. The Duchess did not speak to him. Selena tried to mediate, failed. She will come around, Selena said. I don't think so, Matthias replied. 3 weeks before the wedding, a scandal broke. A rival family, the Barringtons, had obtained letters, old letters, from Matthias's father to a mistress. They planned to publish them, to destroy the Vauxhall name. Matthias learned of it from his solicitor. He told no one, except Roselle. Roselle listened, asked questions, then disappeared for 2 days. When she returned, the scandal was gone. How? Matthias began. I know people, Roselle said simply. People who know people. The letters are gone. The Barringtons will not speak of this again. Matthias stared at her. What did you do? Roselle smiled. I reminded them that I dressed their wives, and wives talk, and some secrets are more valuable than others. Matthias pulled her close. You are terrifying. I know. The Duchess learned of it 3 days later, not from Matthias, from Lady Barrington herself, who mentioned, casually, that the matter had been handled with remarkable discretion. The Duchess asked who had handled it. Lady Barrington smiled. The Duke's intended, clever woman, you should be proud. The Duchess came to Matthias that night. She found him in the library, reading. I was wrong, she said. Matthias looked up. About what? About her. The Duchess sat. I thought she would weaken us, but she has done what I could not. She protected this family without demanding recognition, without expectation. Matthias closed his book. She does not want recognition. I know. The Duchess looked at him. I spent my life building walls. I thought that was strength. But she is strong in ways I never understood. Matthias said nothing. The Duchess reached into her pocket, withdrew a small velvet box. These were your grandmother's, she said. They should be hers now. She placed the box on the table. Inside, emeralds, old, beautiful. I will attend the wedding, the Duchess said quietly. And I will welcome her, because she has earned it. Matthias's throat tightened. Thank you. The Duchess stood, paused at the door. Matthias? Yes? She sees you, the Duchess said softly. The way your father saw me. Do not let that go. The wedding was small, intimate. Roselle wore white, simple, elegant. The Duchess sat in the front row. When Matthias and Roselle exchanged vows, the Duchess placed the emeralds around Roselle's neck herself. Welcome, the Duchess whispered. Roselle smiled. Thank you. Weeks later, Matthias found his mother and Roselle in the garden. Talking, laughing. He stood at the window, watched. Selena appeared beside him. She loves her, Selena said. I know. And you love her. I know that too, Selena smiled. Then we are all exactly where we are supposed to be. Matthias pulled his sister close and realized, for the first time in his life, that he had finally made the right choice. Not the easy one, the right one. And that made all the difference. Matthias finally chose the right path, not the easy one. If this story touched your heart, join our family by hitting that subscribe button. Where are you watching from today? I love reading your comments. Stay tuned for our next Power and Silence Whisper.